All right, hey guys, welcome back. Hopefully, this is Kit Burn One Shadowverse Evolved channel, bringing you our Omens Eternal set review. We're made it to Abyss now. If you've been watching, you already know who's here. If you haven't, I'm joined with permanent fixtured guests on the channel, Prussia,
Hello.
and our boy here, Shepard.
That's me.
Okay, I'll leave that in. If you haven't been watching our set review, we've changed it. It's not as like wild and us just talking nonstop. We're actually rating the cards. Here is the rating key, so you guys kind of know what when we rate it, what does that actually mean. You can pause and read the rest of this right now. Otherwise, we're jumping into the first card. How do I even say this girl's name?
Valneric.
Valneric, Omen of Lust. If Sanguine is active for you, this follower has Storm, Strike, deal damage to each enemy leader equal to the number of times your leader's defense has been decreased this turn. If your leader has 7 health exactly, give this follower +2/+2. Traits, Omen, and Demon. This card is cool. I think this card is very interesting. I have not been able to play with this card yet, but I want to know, like, how real is this card? Have you guys touched Abyss at all?
Games. Yeah, I've played a couple games with this like aggro, Abyss with this archetype and stuff. Do you guys know the meme where it's like the song is playing and then it's like a 3D animation of the gun loading? That's angelic type. I mean, this card is not. It's just not good enough. And then like when you hit because this is the one magic card I know, the thing where you win the game if you're at 13 health. It's like you're not gonna get the 7 health, like specifically. It's just not realistic.
This card is a shit.
All right. I think this card's cool. It probably does suck,
It's
though.
cool. It's definitely cool. And I rated it way higher. And I swear to you guys, I was like, I'm cooking the secret deck. I'm gonna make everyone, And then I had like 5 games where literally it was just like, wow, my hand's unplayable. The guy had 2 pieces of removal and I lost, and he has 3 up, and I have to play Valnera because that's my only play.
I'm gonna not be Italian anymore. This card is a D, but the only reason it's not an F is that it has the potential to gain the word storm.
Oh man, if you hit that 7 life thing though, you probably feel like you've won the Powerball lottery.
I think if you just attack, for 2, if you just attack for 2 and they don't kill it, yeah, then you got a D. You got a D card out of it.
All right, moving on. How do I say this guy? Bill Nye the Science Guy, Omen of Silence, Evolve for
Thalia.
1. Oh, wait, what? It's pronounced Nalia?
It's pronounced Thalia.
Okay, get out of here. Okay. While this card is in your field, your opponent must play spells for 1 more. And then Fanfare, Necrocharge 10, select an enemy follower on the field with the original cost of 3 or less and destroy it. If on the Evolve side, we have the same thing. While this card is on your field, your opponent must play spells for 1 more. On Evolve, each opponent discards a random card. I really like this card. This is part of, like, when I first started reading Abyss, I read this card, was like, holy crap, I really want to play Control Abyss, and this card looks really fun to play. And as I read more on into this set, I was just like, oh, I really want to play Control Abyss this set. I really like this card. I'm kind of high on this card. I can totally see you guys telling me I'm crazy, but I feel like this card's like an S personally.
No, I think this card's busted, dude.
Yeah.
I think this card is insane. Like I think just the fact that so the main problem with this card, like a lot of these Evo effects, is that it trades poorly into specifically Surefire Bullet. But the fact that Surefire Bullet costs 1 more actually helps out with like the mana advantage. And I think anytime you can equalize like a mana advantage on your opponent's stuff, that's pretty good. I think if you ever get to do like the Necrocharge plus Evo, you're just like already getting there, but then you don't even need the Necrocharge because you can just discard a random card. And I think the fact that it's random is huge. You just get so much more value out of your opponent having no control on what they get going. I don't know if I'm an S, but like, yeah, I'm really excited about this card if you can't tell.
I'm pretty low on this card. I think that the Thalia effect is not actually as good as it sounds in this game. because realistically, you're going. So like if you're going second, you get this on 3. They go to 4. They just still surefire it for 3. Like it's not honestly that big of a deal. If they're gonna surefire, that's probably gonna be a lot of their turn anyway. And I think the discard part is really good. I like that. I think the random discard is really nice. Um, I just don't think this card is like as insane as people are making it out to be, and I think it's going to be less impactful than it reads. And it's also just a missed problem where there's no consistency in the deck at all, and by the time you get to Necrocharge 10, are there gonna be a lot of three cost things on the field you need to destroy? Maybe, and then it's cool, but I don't know. I just think it's a lot of to me it's a lot of low impact stuff that adds up to an ant card. I think I gotta say C.
I think there's a lot of games where this card comes down, evos, kills something, makes them discard, and then lives. I think that's like a huge percentage of like the turn threes with this card. And I think that's really, really good.
But then if it takes damage, then it's like the Thalia effect is worse, because then it's like, okay, well now I only need to angelic snipe, and then it's like the same as
Well,
surefire.
that's the nice thing though, because like when it's relevant, it's relevant. But in that case, it doesn't matter that it's not relevant. Well, it is. First of all, it is relevant because they have to spend 2 on angelic snipe, right? You've literally increased the cost by 100%.
What
But
are the?
also,
Sorry, go ahead.
it's a you got a 3-for-1. Like yeah, they sniped it, but you got a 3-for-1.
One of the big things about this card too, why I like it so much, is not necessarily because of the opponent has to pay 1 for a spell, even though that's part of the reason I think it pushed it into a S for me. It's that like all the text is good. This is in my opinion, even though it's not straight up like a Thoughtseize like the other graveyard guy is. I think this is I'd rather play this guy on curve and evo him than playing
Oh,
the
100%. Execution.
Executioner. Like I like Executioner in the sense that I can look at my opponent's hand, get the information, and pick the card that I can't deal with, or make it so their next turn is just horrible. But this card reads super well. It gets the proper statting of a 4/4 on Evo from like a 3 cost Evo that has a good effect, and like the added on staple effect that randomly like surefire bullets and snipes and stuff. Like if they want to use a spell to remove this, that means their next turn following the play of this is going to be even awkward as well if they have to use a spell to remove it. Otherwise, they're going to have to run followers into this to remove it. So
When they play Rule 9, they don't randomly discard my mechanical bow woman.
in me.
No, but I think like I hear that. I think it's sort of just, I don't know. I think if it was in a better deck, I'd like it more. I just think this is going to be the best card in a terrible inconsistent deck.
You're not wrong. Sorry.
God. All right. We'll move on here. I think we've kind of locked in on, made all our reasoning there. Next, Apostle of Lust. Whenever another demon follower comes onto your field, give your leader +1 health. Activate, engage this card, and give your leader -1. Select a follower in your cemetery that usually costs 2 or less play points and put it onto your field. Omen and Demon.
Holy crap! You can get Valderic from your graveyard, and then she does 3, and it still gets a junk snipe.
So when I first saw this card, I kind of like, I think this card's like kind of okay, but it's probably, I don't know if it's really that good at all. It's just like the first thing I thought of was Demon Punk, because like, isn't that a demon trait, right?
Yeah.
Punk Devil.
Yeah, so you can play this on 4, use the effect, lose a life, bring the Demon Punk back, heal 1 again, and then have this like 2/3 ward. Then you could potentially give it Bane if you want to deal with some of their things on board. So that was like the line I thought of. That was just like, that's probably the best way to use this card. I don't know if there's anything else you guys really think of outside of like losing to snipe.
I would compare this card to a very specific circumstance, which is, do you remember the first time you ever played Egg? When you had a Faria that was in play for a turn, and then you put a 10 soldier into play from your hand or whatever, and then you went to tap, you were like, wait, should I attack with Faria or should I tap and put a counter on? And your opponent had no play points, and then you said, wait a minute. It's like the same thing.
Yep.
That's when I see this card. I go, I have a 4/4. I can just keep getting 2/2s, or I can attack them for 4. And it's
Well, you
like,
never
yeah,
do it again.
Yeah, it's
You
like
just do
it's
it
the turn you
once.
play it. Like you on 4, you play this, and you get 6,
but
7
like
worth of stats and
once you
award.
tap this, it's just always dead, you know? So like to me, I just like, I don't know, this card just plays
Isn't that
awkwardly.
the?
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like it's like well number one this effect is wrong because I double checked you have to get a 2 play point or less on here. It's Demon World, but Demon Follower like that's part. It's not any 2 cost or less. It's 2 cost Demon Follower to the grave to from the grave to the field. It's not just any 2 cost.
Anyway, I think this
Um,
card, what I'm saying is, I think this card looks better than it is. I think the effect is pretty asymmetric to most 4 costs you're going to play. I think it just dies immediately. I don't know.
but Rule 9 doesn't die
But
immediately.
what doesn't?
But Rule 9 doesn't die immediately.
Well, roll 9 when you evo it got in a, and when you evoed it and then killed something, yeah, both of those got some serious value. Yeah, I guess this is okay with getting Punk Devil back. I don't know. I don't know why. It just doesn't seem like it plays right.
Yeah, I don't think this card's very good.
I'm gonna give it like a D.
But and it's worse because it's locked. You have to get a Demon Follower, which sucks.
Yeah, that is way worse. Because like if you could like
Like if
loot
you get
belt.
Thena back, which we haven't talked about yet, but if you get Thena back, that's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
you know, but
Dina would be
it's
hot.
yeah, but it's alas.
All right. Moving on. This is another card I read that I was just I love this card. Apostle of Silence. Evolve for 1. The start of your end phase, select an enemy leader. If there are 3 or less cards in that player's hand, deal 3 damage to it. And then on the evolve side, same thing at the start of your enemy's end phase, select an enemy leader. If there are 3 or less cards in this player's hand, deal 3 damage to them. And then on evolve, select an enemy follower on the field, deal 3 damage. If its controller has 3 or less cards in their hand, destroy it instead. I mean, obviously, we're putting this in a hand control deck. I really like this in basically any Abyss control deck because
Really?
you're always making discards. So a lot of the times they should be on a pretty low number count of cards. So I think the 3 cost effect or 3 or less thing should activate more often than not. That's my reasoning. And then like from what I've seen in some matches, it's pretty consistent.
Card's weird for me because like I would generally agree with you, but I think once you get their hand size down to 3, you're like already kind of destroying them. And I think there's a lot. I don't know. I feel like you would just rather have like efficiently statted beaters or win conditions or like other things at that game that are like more advancing the game plan, I guess, that like also would advance it if you don't have that game state. Like once
Yeah.
they're down to 3 cards in hand, you've already kind of done your mission and you just like want to close the game. And then this card is like okay in that circumstance, and then it's bad in like every other circumstance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like a card that's only good when you've accomplished your game plan is like hard for me to evaluate highly.
Because I also feel like the payoff is like something you don't care. Like you're not really caring about 3 damage to face. Like yeah, you care about the Evo popping something, but it's I don't know. I feel like the payoff for sort of completing the quest that you're already trying to do is not that good.
I think last set I really put a premium on cards costing 5 needed to be really good. And then this set I feel like my bar is lowered to like I need the 4 costs to really be good because I think we just have enough 4 cost options at this point.
So I mean I've played a lot of like of the control Abyss stuff, and I always felt like even if I get my opponent down to like a low card size or whatever, it still takes a lot of time for me to set it up to like to the point where I'm going to win the game. I feel like this added pressure to them for already being low on hand size is enough that it's gonna win me more games that I probably wouldn't have if this card didn't exist and like I didn't get the trigger once or twice. But maybe
Yeah, I can see
I'm misreading that completely. But I've only been watching like Japanese match videos with like a different Abyss lists that ran this card, and every time I saw this card hit the board, it was very impactful from or at least from my point of view.
How
My
often do people
issue,
die with it in their hand? That's my question. Because
yeah,
I understand that if they played it, it was good, but if it wasn't good, they probably just didn't play it, right?
m- my issue is sort of it's. I forgot what I was gonna say. Someone else go ahead. I forgot what I was gonna say. Shoot.
This card, I should be allowed to use an Italian accent when we talk about these cards because look at the name. It's Apostle of Silence.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Shoot, what was I gonna say? I'll remember it like 3 cards later.
Oh,
That's what I was gonna say. I remember what I was gonna say. And I always say this, but Abyss is just such an inconsistent deck. If you, kind of like what Shepard's saying, if you see this card and they're not below 3, this card is awful. If they're not below 3 cards in hand, this card sucks.
I
So
think
that's why I don't like
I think
it.
the big difference for me too is that I think this set added so much extra discard outlets that naturally happen that it happens way more often than not. But maybe you're right. Maybe I only saw the games where this card comes down and actually did something, and then all the other games
Were
where
you
they did
watching Nala's
lose.
games or
I watched a
games
couple of
were you
Nala, and there was like a few more other like random JP channels that I was just like
watching?
scrolling through. But
Did
yeah,
they show hands while they played? Because this is like I feel like this card's like overrun in Magic, where it's like the percentage of games where it's played, it probably wins most of those. But then there's like a large percentage of games where it's not played because it doesn't have like the effects not there.
Hmm. Possibly. I don't know. I'd have to really go back and like very watch everything
Yeah.
completely. But yeah, at least my first
see.
impressions, I like this card. So
I give it a C too because I think it's like yeah, we'll test it. We'll see.
all right,
You'll beat me with it, and then I'll believe you.
moving on. Disciple of Lust. Strike, deal 1 damage to each leader. Fanfare, deal 1 damage to each leader. This card, I'm like very confused on because I think this card is like pretty good as long as you're in the sanguine category of things. This is another enabler for your skeletons, right? As well.
I think this card's insane. Yeah, I think even outside of Sanguine, like you just slot this in aggro. Because if it
There-
lives, it's 3 damage total. It's like it's Ambling Wraith, but like it's 4th, 5th, and 6th copy of Ambling Wraith, which is already like your best one drop, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I saw it too. And the fact that I got more one drop enablers for my skeletons,
Skeleton Warriors,
it means my skeleton warriors more often than not on turn 2 will be 3/3s.
Yeah.
I just want to say the way you evaluate this card is exactly how both of you said it. I don't think you ever look at this card and say, "Ooh, my Sanguine enabler." I think you look at this card and you say, "Ooh, it does damage to my opponent," and also can maybe enable some Sanguine stuff. But I think if you don't want to if you don't want to like, value the face damage, like it's not really there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I think I get what you're saying. I do feel like the fact that this card exists allows you to play more Sanguine cards than you were previously. Like, I think you could probably put Dark General back in, and you
I
could
mean, I,
probably
I
put some
agree
other
with
cards
that,
back
but what
in
I'm saying
now.
is like that's not what makes this card. Like this card is playable because you can play it outside of any Sanguine card. Like if you play this on 1, skeleton on 2, etc. You're just doing your good aggro strategy.
I think that at the end it comes down to the fact that even though we're both just like saying different things and like the reasons why we like this card, the fact that it works in so many different scenarios should be a testament to how good this card is, right? Like,
Yeah, I just think it's like I'm debating between if it's a B or if it's an A.
I personally
really
think it's
like
an
this.
A.
I still think it's a C because I don't think this archetype's good at all. But
Yeah, I think it's a B just because I don't think it's gonna have the full power level to get there at this point. But I think it's a strong role player in its deck.
All right. Next here, Masked Puppet. Evolve for 1. During your turn, whenever a follower on your field is put into the cemetery, give this follower +1 attack. Fanfare. Put a puppet token into your EX area. Evolve. During your turn, whenever a follower is put into your cemetery, give it +1 attack. And then on evolve, summon 2 puppet tokens. So this comes directly to the field instead of the EX area.
they call it the floral with cheese.
The floral with cheese.
Floral. This is the floral fencer, but like worse and in a worse class. Yeah, it's floral fencer, but worse in a
Yeah.
worse class. I don't think it's good.
Card's bad. I think the most egregious part is, oh, you guys are gonna D. The stats are just like I know the token stats are like this. The token stats are why they did it this way, but I'm like, if Floral Fencer can be a 4/4, this card can be a 3/4 on the face.
Actually, this clears a lot of stuff.
The one thing too is the puppets do have rush to remember that. So there you get four damage removal. Then that also transition into +2 attack on this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like 7 damage.
Oh, sorry. My brain shut off. Sorry. For some reason I thought the puppets had +2 attack. They're only +1. But yeah.
Yeah, the puppets come in. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a D. Maybe
No,
I'll give it a
he
D just because
gives-
3
he-
puppets is a lot too.
Yeah, he gets the attack, not the puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put it at D. I just think that the 3 puppets is probably enough to get it there, where it's just like a lot of bodies that you're gonna be able to throw out. But they costing 1 really changes the way you have to evaluate puppets in general, I think.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the fact that Evo summoned 2 puppets to the board immediately, it completely changes how this card works. But yeah. All right. Next card, Wings of Lust. Choose up to 2 of the following. 1, select a follower on your field and give it rush. Deal 1 damage to your leader. 2, select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 2 damage. Deal 1 damage to your leader. 3, deal 1 damage to your leader. Draw a card, then discard a card. Thoughts?
Wow, Valneric deals 2 additional damage on the effect, but she still gets killed by Angelic Snipe? It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, and before, if I did not play with this deck, it would be obnoxious how highly I'd be thinking of these cards. It'd be obnoxious.
I
Yeah.
really overrate. I know in my own estimation, I overrate cards that are modal. Like any card that I think if you have a bunch of mediocre options, then I will be like, well, at least you have a lot of options. The problem with this card is like not only are all the options they're like okay, but then it's like, yeah, I don't know, you're like supposed to play this to enable the sanguine stuff that's like pretty whatever. I don't know. Also, drawing a card, the draw card, discard a card is bad because I don't know. I don't even need to get into this. You just go down on card advantage. 2 damage.
Yeah.
It's like, it's okay. I give a follower rush plus angelic snipe is probably enough to put it into D for me. That's what I'll say.
Listen.
Okay, but on turn 6, if you're at 11 health, you play 2 of these. You play 2 Valnerics, and you deal 16 damage. But you know, maybe that makes it F.
I think 1 mana, give a follower rush, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, deal 2 damage to your leader. That's like a D.
I think this card's funny in the sense that like the one scenario where I was like, wow, this card actually did something cool, which is you're like turn 2, kill their goblin, you secondary effect, draw ditch to draw into your skeleton to play your skeleton as a 3/3.
Well, we thought, hey, we found a way better than Wingnut version to ditch your Israfils for your Death
True. All right.
I will say, just last thing is, it's funny they design a card like this because this feels like the design it would be if she worked like how she worked in digital, where they just cares about how many times you've gotten hit in the game versus on the turn. So it's weird that they would design a card like this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. All right, moving on here. Silent Purge. Select an enemy far on the field and destroy it. Its controller discards a random card.
This card is missing something. This card is missing one very important thing that would make it really playable.
Yep, quick out of 10.
The word quick. Without quick, this card is pretty bad.
Yeah, this is like a card I could like see like as a random 1 of or something if you want to play some removal that also randomly makes you discard your opponent's card, but also like no.
Wait, you guys aren't over. Wait. You guys are, because what's the other like discard options that this?
There's a 2-drop spell near the end that's really good.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, this is not in the discard package. I mean, I'm not as high on it as
all of this shit sucks anyway.
I just think this card's really, really bad. The only way it would ever be playable is if it was quick. You would play like 1 or 2 in your control list because then you're sniping elephants and other things, and you're also getting the second value. Or sometimes you just pass on 4 because you're a control deck. If you have to tap out for this, you just leave yourself open. You don't advance your game state. Blah blah blah. This card's bad.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Servant of Lust. Evolve for 1. Fanfare, deal 1 damage to your leader. Evolve form on evolved. Give your leader -1 health. Select an enemy far on the field. Deal damage to it equal to the number of times your leader's defense has been decreased this turn. All right, can we just like say this is like an F and move on? Like I don't like this card at all that much. Like maybe it's okay, but
the card is like if you really do a ton of damage to yourself, you get to surefire bullet something.
And then you play Valneric and you're at turn 7, and then it still dies to breath.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Like I want like this sanguine stuff to be good, but it ain't hidden.
I'm pretty sure just like in digital, At some set in the future, they just never print. They just stop printing Sanguine cards, right?
Well, I think in digital at some point did they make it so like you have a card that's like at the start of the game you're basically in sanguine mode the entire time?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was Vengeance. That was a
Or
while,
Vengeance, I mean,
is
yeah.
different.
But there's also there's the way there's like all the Sanguine cards in digital are like they heal you and they damage you.
Yeah,
So that-
nowadays, 'cause
Yeah.
that was the only way they could have made it. Yeah, work.
Yeah, because like they were just like they're just cards that are like whenever you take 1 damage, heal 1 damage.
Yeah.
But and I'm pretty sure in this game they just stopped doing Sanguine at like set 7 or something.
All right, moving on here. The Servant of Silence. Whenever your opponent discards a card, deal 2 damage to their leader and put the top 2 cards of your deck into your cemetery.
Shadowverse loves these like 2 mana cards that are like you run them out on 2 and then you have like this game plan enabled.
Mhm.
And it's so funny that you can just tell that these guys were like former Magic players where they were like, yeah, these cards are the kind of things that you used to play in like Magic and draft sets as like enablers. But in this game, we're just like the 2/3 not going to live long enough. It's not going to get enough value. Like, I don't know. You play this on 2 and then you play discard on 3, discard on 4, and this thing lives, and then you're still not getting the same value you would have gotten out of like a lot of other 2-drops you could have played because you're not swinging with it, you're not removing things with it, it's just sitting there standing, and your opponent's magically not removing it. It's pretty whatever.
I will say, I mean, if Discard Dragon ever came back in the format,
This is actually
and then you just miss him, and then you lose because you take discarded 20 times.
Oh man, this is your draconic rights on a body.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You play this, your opponent's staring at their rights in their hands, like, oh shit.
Oh, this is like
Wait,
the type of.
I mean,
Wait, this undoes Shinlong, guys. The Shinlong
Yeah,
drops
does
you?
well,
They
I
only
will
get to
say-
heal
I will
one.
say that you know, the like if the meta is so warped, like if we had like a year-long meta, I could see this card like coming up if like Dragon really became a problem because you know the Apostle girl or which I forgot which
Oh,
type
the
it, but
Omen
you know
one that
the one
discards
that
a card.
searches. Yeah, like I actually feel like just like that's pretty okay. But that's not how this game works.
This really is what seals the deal that card that discards a commander and sword is truly unplayable.
Best of 3, this is a 6 sideboard. Like if they ever did sideboard, this is a pretty cool sideboard card.
You know, the more I see these type of cards, it's like they like hate bears in Magic, but they won't put this on a goblin, like this text on a goblin ever in this game. Like if this was like a 1-drop, this probably would be really good. And even if it was just stated as like a goblin, I think this card becomes way better, right? But they're so afraid of playing these effects. It feels like they've always put them on like really crappy 2-drops that you just like never really want to play.
I mean, the
It's
problem
like
is that 2/3 is a fine stat line, but if you're not like this is a card you never ever turn sideways, and you just can't play 2-drops in this game that you never plan on turning sideways.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, because it always annoys me when I think back to Andromeda and like, why is this on a 1-drop goblin? Like, but then like these effects are never going to be on like a goblin or whatever. So
because
whatever.
they loved Humpty Dumpty huffing that smoke, and they needed him to be good.
True. All right, moving on. Heimlin, Fanfare. Select a token card in your EX area. Put another token card with the same name into your EX area.
They ruined my boy, man.
What did he do in digital? Tell me
He
now.
was absurd. He copied. It was like any 3 cost or less, I think, or 2 cost or less. It from your hand and made a copy of it.
Basically, it was like a
It was
2-drop that
different.
played another 2-drop from you.
No, he was 2-drop, 2/1. Select a follower in your hand except him that costs 3 play points or less, and put a copy of that follower into your hand.
Yeah.
He was just in every portal deck until he rotated. He was amazing.
He sucks ass in this game.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
just like, oh, dude, check out my second Goblin King, baby.
They can't. They can't even like say just any card in the EX. So you could like, if you somehow jump through hoops and put a card in the EX, you can't even copy it. You
Oh
know?
my god! Imagine if you could Knight's Way, get a conflag, and then like copy your, you know.
In Commander format that no one's gonna play.
Yeah,
Is anyone gonna play that?
There's not enough people
For
that play.
$100.
Not enough people play standard in this game.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was just gonna say. Is there's not even enough people
We
that
gotta
play
get
the game.
we gotta get one format going before we expand.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on here. Embracing Wings. Select an enemy far on the field and destroy it. Deal 2 damage to your leader. If Valneric Omen of Lust is in your cemetery, you may put it into your hand.
Holy crap! On 5, you kill something and then play Valneric, and then you swing it, still gets killed by a Angelic Sign, and it only does 1 damage.
No, this is so good, bro. They kill it and then you replay it.
The other thing
Busted.
that's really important that makes me so confused about these cards is this deals 2 to you, and Valeric specifically says times you've been hit, not the amount of damage you've taken. So it still only gives you one damage.
Instance, yeah.
It's so bad. It's crazy.
They do not like Abyss. The designers do not like Abyss.
It's very clear. All right, last card here, and this is probably like I want to say the best card in the set for Abyss.
Oh, yeah.
So Thunderous Roar, choose one of the following. Necrocharge 10, choose up to 2 instead. Each opponent discards a random card, select an enemy far on the field, and deal it 3 damage. I mean, both modes are amazing. If you're ever able to get both modes activated, it's also amazing. This is a really, really good card in my opinion. You guys have anything else to add to this?
I feel bad that like I have to keep rating all these Abyss cards low just because the consistency of the deck is just it's negative, you know. Like this is sick when you see it, and it's even more sick when you have Necrocharge 10, but you're gonna see it once every 3 games. Like that's just how the game works, or that's how that class works.
Card's good. I don't think it's mind-blowingly good, but it's definitely something that makes me more interested in playing this like hand-eating deck. And I like the fact that this card exists makes me not want to touch Elephant Forest with a 10-foot pole. Just like, dude.
I feel like Elephant should just eviscerate this deck because they have
what?
Not deal. Well, because you just play.
You can't beat.
They
just dude. You just can't win. You just can't win.
You just can't win. Okay, yeah.
You just can't win. They just you discard your hand. You can't win. Like you play to the board, and then once your board's gone, your hand is like.
That's the thing is they
Elf
can't kill
Child
the board.
May.
They can't kill the board. This class has
Exactly.
never gotten AoE. You
They
put 3 things, and then one of those things is surviving and swinging, and then you put 2 more things, and then same thing. And that's if they're lucky they can kill 2 things a turn.
Maybe. We'll see. I think you have to build Elephant. You know, this is why you gotta play Rousing Step, you know?
Well, I'm glad that Prussian Shepherd were here because I'm high as hell off of Abyss. Obviously, as you can tell, some of the cards I rated very highly and they did not. But yeah, look at that. They already got the stuff rated here. Let's go. This is like the craft I'm most excited to tinker around with. Will it be the biggest disappointment for me? Possibly. Who knows? But everything I read, I really, really liked the whole discard stuff for Abyss.
I really like just like 3 cards from this set, and those 3 cards are good enough to make me want to reevaluate a lot of different ways to play Abyss. So I'm excited to tinker with that. I really like Control. I really like Hand Hate, and I really like anytime I can play an aggro deck with Hand Hate in it. Like one of my favorite Magic decks of all time, Death Shadow. Basically, you just play 8 threats, and then there are like a bunch of cards that rip your opponent's hand, and then that's what I would love to try and do in this game as well. Obviously, different format for a different game, but yeah, the aggro plus Hand Hate. I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if this meta is like so mid-rangey control that it actually has a chance to outvalue people, or if like it's just gonna get run over by whiteboards. Either way, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Valneric to just be
to die to snipe.
I like how like we're all like Valneric's terrible, but Prussia has this like specific like there's like one guy that Prussia's been talking to who's really high on it or something. I don't know. I'm just like
it was me. It was me. I was high on it. I honestly was really high on it. I played like 4 games, and it was the worst experience I've had on the game.
Oh my god! It just got sniped.
No, it never got sniped once. It's because I didn't see any of my Exodia pieces in order.
So that's the problem is that you have to get Exodia first, even though your Exodia doesn't say win the game.
Yeah, and then when I get Exodia, they still if they hold 2 up, I lose. and all of this still dies to a neutral card that we haven't talked about.
All right, guys. Well, that kind of wraps up Abyss here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to follow us here if you want to follow us on X/Twitter, whatever Elon decides what it's called again. I think that being said, thanks for watching and making it this far. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. And we'll see you guys in our next video, which will be Havencraft. We'll hopefully see you there. Later, everyone.
Bye bye.
Ciao.